All right, hi everybody, how's it going? And welcome to another video. Now I'm here today with another historical video. Today I am in Aztalan State Park in Wisconsin. Aztalan State Park is located between Milwaukee and Madison, and it's known for its Native American burial mounds. And this is one of them right here. Around it, as you can see, is this fence. They had built up this fence as kind of like a fortification. Originally, it would have had like a mud plaster on it. There would have been like mud and clay and sticks all kind of mixed together to kind of make a thicker wall. But this gives you an idea of what it would have looked like. And this right here, these mounds are said to be Mississippian, built by the Mississippian culture. Now, if you're familiar with Cahokia near St. Louis, which was an enormous Mississippian culture, was said to have about 20 to 30,000 inhabitants at one point in time. This was an offshoot of Cahokia, and it was said to have probably about 500 inhabitants. Around 1050 AD, some people from Cahokia had left Cahokia, traveled up the Rock River, and then took the Crawfish River to this location in present-day Wisconsin. Like I said, the location is between what's now Milwaukee and Madison. I'm on top of one of the mounds. There's another one off in a distance. I'll try to get to that one shortly. But yeah, as you can see, pretty incredible. I've recently gotten really interested in a lot of this prehistoric Native American history, or at least the history that we know. There's a lot of lost history. It's interesting because one of the functions of archaeology is to kind of piece together that lost history and to try to find what had happened. And, they'll make new discoveries here all the time. But for every new discovery, there's more questions, usually. That's usually what happens. Now, supposedly, when this site was discovered by settlers around 1835, there was said to have been about 45 earthen mounds just like this one in the area. Now there's nowhere near as many. Same thing with Cahokia. There are said to be a lot more at one time. Now there's not as many. But definitely interesting to see all this. The reason why it's called Aztalan is that Europeans, when they first discovered it, around 1835, they had assumed that maybe it was the Aztec homeland. The Aztec homeland of Aztalan was said to be in the north of Mexico. So they assumed that this had to be it. And that's why they called it that. Later on, they discovered that it was Mississippian. Now, there still is a theory that exists that the Aztecs were from the Mississippian culture. They were a group of people that had left and had traveled down to Mexico. There still is a theory of that having it happened. But, yeah, definitely interesting to see this. Like I said, there's a few mounds remaining. Originally, the village was said to encompass about 22 acres and had a number of different houses in it, and kind of similar to how other people were living at the time. They're said to have coexisted with like the late woodland people at this time. They've always been trying to figure out how the Mississippian and the late woodland people interacted. It's one thing they've always been trying to figure out. Don't know if that's entirely known. There's some mystery about that. And this site, this village, was abandoned somewhere around 1300 AD. So it was occupied from around 900 AD to around 1300 AD. And just like Cahokia, no one really knows why it was abandoned. There's speculation about why it may have been abandoned. Maybe they had run out of firewood. That's usually what they kind of assume. Maybe their resources have dwindled. There could have been warfare. And obviously, if there was like a palisade built, they built that obviously to defend their village from other people. And so who knows? There's also something in the 1300s called the Little Ice Age. And it's believed maybe that might have wrecked their crops. You know, they grew corn, beans, and squash in this area. And as you can see, I'm walking toward a much larger mound right now. Okay, right now I am at a much larger mound. There were different mounds that were used for different purposes. One had like an eternal fire that they would have. Another one was like a mausoleum on top of the mound. And there was another one that had a structure where like a royal family lived. So let me just, some stairs over here. I'm now on top of this mound. I believe this one's the largest. As you can see, there's kind of like a terrace there. Supposedly, I had heard that originally these mounds actually were at least partially made of brick. And there's some belief that when the settlers came to this area, they used and took bricks from this mound to build their houses with. So I did hear that theory. I also heard that underneath this grass, it's like a layer of clay. And somewhere around here, there was another area that was said to be a mound, and in it was a woman they believe was a princess, and she was buried with hundreds and hundreds of shell beads. Now, as far as excavation is concerned, I know archaeologists first started excavating this around 1919. So that was the beginning. Became a state park around 1952. And a National Historic Landmark, I believe around that time as well. But you can see off in the distance the mound I was just on before. But yeah, definitely an interesting history here. And, you know, it's a history that you don't hear about that much. Usually American history books will have a chapter on pre-Columbian America. And usually they'll show like Serpent Mound, maybe a picture of Cahokia. Don't know that they show this. This is pretty obscure, and I think a lot of people don't even know about it. So if ever you're in the area between Milwaukee and Madison, I recommend checking this out. That's all I've got. If you watched this video, I thank you for watching. Have a good night.